trying.
time and Foyer. A lot of Kesha Foyer jokes.
Repeat it.
I'm going to be out of ideas in 5 minutes.
You have some?
I don't know. No.
How many trees do you have, Charlie?
I have 0. I'm a homeless gypsy right now.
Are you?
Yeah.
That's right, because you sold your house.
Yeah.
House is.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be putting up a tree at my daughter's house tonight and decorating it.
Nice.
Does she know that you're doing that, or are you just kind of
like regardless of her views?
Well, she's thinking of buying a fake tree, and I'm just resistant to that.
I'm all for the fake tree.
The fake trees, if you get a decent one, are $700. They're not cheap.
Or more. Yeah, they're more. Yeah.
Seriously.
But they last a long time.
Really, seriously, Charlie, that's your problem? Is the $700?
No, listen,
and I'm not trying to diminish the $700, but a regular tree is going to cost you what? $50, $100. An artificial tree is going to last 300 years.
No, my point is, I'm in Denver. A 30-minute drive outside of Denver, I can go down and cut my own tree for $25, and I'll have a nice real tree.
But what's your time worth?
Not much.
Obviously. We know, David, like if I'm going to guess of what kind of holiday present you're getting from Charlie, it's not going to be $700. We've learned at least his maximum. We've learned his maximum is below 700.
Charlie, just get with Mackie and go to Costco, because he's there like every other day apparently, and
Target,
and get yourself a tree.
Yeah. Balsam Hill makes nice trees. We have good friends who started that company. They make nice fig trees.
Yeah, I don't think there's any
$700
my
friend just bought one. I'm going to send you a picture. She decorated it last night. I call her my evil twin.
Does she look like you?
By the way, Cyber Week at Balsam Hill is up to 50% off on the number one most realistic trees, it says.
Yeah.
Let's all chip in and buy Charlie a
Yes, let's get him one. This is getting ridiculous.
By the way, classic Bruce, $350.
Yeah, she decorated it last night. Sent me a picture. There you go.
That's a nice looking tree.
Yeah, that's a Balsam Hill. She decorated last night. Yeah.
Oh, you should ask her what one it is. Maybe I'll get that. That's a nice tree.
Yeah. I can ask her.
So how many of you think that Powell sold out yesterday by endorsing, I don't know if it's the word's endorsing, but talking about crypto as a digital
No, what? What did he say?
He became a crypto bro. In his own version.
That's why crypto's over 100,000 today.
Well, Doge isn't, but Bitcoin is.
Yeah.
So let's not get too carried away. We need Doge to.
We need Doge to really hop.
Yeah. If Doge went above 100,000, I think it'd be like the whole global economy.
True.
Just to be fair, I'm long Doge since 7 cents last year around this time. Just so you know.
Nice.
Wow, that's impressive.
My thesis was wrong. I thought Elon was going to put it as this payment system for X, but it doesn't matter. It's up 6 times. Doge. And now that we got the whole Doge thing with the government, it's even better. Doge. Now, all that matters now, we're in the world where memes are all that matter. Like that's where we're at. That's what part of the cycle. Like all these poor people on our show are just talking about the earnings and this. Just know memes better. That's what it comes down to. If your meme game isn't strong, and you're not buying hims and hers, you don't know what you're doing.
You don't count hims and hers as a meme stock. They actually earn money, and they're growing.
No. I said.
Well, no, that's why he separated. Or it was like
but I sometimes Ben is.
Well, no, I don't know if you know. There's a difference between and or. It's like
I don't actually. I don't actually know that.
We're gonna call him Professor Bry.
Yeah, we already have one called the Professor.
Well, listen, good morning. It's Wall Street Beats. You've got it December 5th. My kid turned 18 today, so I've got an adult in my home. And welcoming here, David Maris, Charlie Peabody, Ben Bry to the show. We're going to kick it off with Ben. Ben, what are you looking at today, kind of overall? And then I know you do have a pick for people.
Looks like the dollar's a little weaker today, and everything, as we talked about on the other morning show in Longbow, is everything's kind of melting up. Well, 2 morning shows. This is my second morning show. I'm in California. It's already 7 a.m. I can basically call it a day. But I am going back to the East Coast this evening. I'm going to Miami, so I'll get back on the right side of the country, not the left side. I'm talking about today. Robert Marson would be very proud of me. So let's just start with that. I'm talking about a stock that has no analyst coverage, 0. They have a CFO that does not answer the phone. You got to hunt that guy down. And then basically a company that just doubled their backlog. And this is a company that was short on the other side of where they had like maybe in 2018, they had whittled down their backlog and they were over earning. And so now we're going to catch it on the other side. The stock is National Presto Kitchen, ticker NPK. And basically, this is a $85 stock that is going to pay you not one time, but they pay their dividend in one shot. And so they're going to pay you a $455 dividend in February. So you buy it today, your cost basis will be $80 in February or a little after February. And so they earn about $5 a share, $455. But with the backlog doubling from about 550 million to 1.1 billion, they're going to probably earn $10 next year. And again, 0 analyst coverage. So there's no one who pays attention. This is a company that is the unique version of a company that is a consumer products company and a defense company. The elusive duo of defense and homeware and kitchenware.
Kesha plus Boyer.
And okay, so we have a kitchenware business like mixers and stuff like that. It's not worth much. The numbers say that it actually would be accretive to earnings by $1.50 if they just got rid of it. They're not going to do that, but just saying. And so
why today? Can I bug you? Why today? It's like up a lot from the lows in September.
This isn't a short-term trade. This stock's going to go.
You're a believer. Okay.
To be fair, I pitched you on this at $73 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Whoa. Okay. But we're here today.
Did anyone feel that cold breeze?
I mean, Nadine got scared because this stock trades $1 wide. This is not a liquid stock. That's why I said Marson would be very happy of me pitching this. But so I don't know. Like basically they get 40 millimeter munitions, like small bombs, like a bunch of different contracts they've won. And the pushback would be, okay, maybe Trump ends the Ukraine war, but like these contracts that are on the books are going to be fulfilled. So it's a $1.1 billion billions or a book. And then that's not the total amount they could be. It could be $4 billion. So, I'm not going to count that or anything, but you're just talking about $10 of earnings, 12 to 15 times earnings. You have $120 to $150 stock and a $5 dividend coming up in February. So look, this is the most liquid stock, but like you come to Wall Street Beats for some, ideas that are a little bit different. And we're looking out there of like, what the hell are you going to buy? And to Nadine's point, this has had a nice run, but to put my fundamental analyst hat on, not my meme hat on. This is definitely the opposite of a meme stock, just so we're clear. 12 times to 15 times earnings, $10 to $12 of earnings, you could have $120 to $180 stock. That's a 50 to 100% move from here. And so you got to size it appropriately because it's an illiquid stock. But, I think it's pretty simple thesis. And why would this exist? It's because no one pays attention. And again, it's like you got to dig through the news filings of a Wisconsin. And by the way, it's Wisconsin based, which I like as well.
You have to learn about defense and diapers. So there's really kind of like a longer.
Again, I wouldn't worry too much. I wouldn't worry too much about the
Look, I got Charlie to laugh.
consumer part of the business, but
Okay.
because as we know, the defense business is a good business. Like that's been a strong business for a long time for a lot of different guys. But yeah, it's pretty simple. Let's just say 10 times earnings, 12 times low side, 15 times high side, $5 dividend. There you go.
All right.
My gift to you for Christmas: National Presto Kitchen, ticker NPK.
And what's the symbol again?
NPK.
NPK. Okay, got it.
National Presto Kitchen.
Yeah, I think that's what parents are getting their kids for. Isn't it like the easy? Do they make the easy bake oven?
Yeah, they make some like some of their stuff.
Look at you, David. Look at you, David.
But again, like I wouldn't pay attention to the consumer side. Like it would actually be better if they just closed that. But it is what it is.
No, everyone loves that. Yeah. All right.
One of us should go activist on it and break it up.
That's right. Separate the kitchen from the
I think
Presto.
for efficiency purposes, they should, wrap their bombs in diapers and transport them that way.
And then put it in a pressure cooker. All right.
I mean, there is something very, very funny about, hey, this is a consumer / defense company. It is quite a dichotomy.
The baby and the bomb.
That's right.
Charlie's on fire today.
So, David, lots of healthcare news coming out this week. Walk us through some of the key points for our viewers.
Yeah, so there's a lot of stuff. I mentioned yesterday that I just went long a little Lilly, but very tight stops, 5% up and down. In the idea that, listen, this is the data that they came out with versus the Novo drug is actually great data. It's going to be a great marketing point. It's not so much that it was unexpected, but that it's a better marketing point. Now that it's official, they can go out. Beforehand, they can't really go out and compare labels. The salespeople can't do that. They can only talk to their own label. But now that they have a head-to-head study, I am sure at Lilly headquarters, they are printing this nonstop so that salespeople can drop it off at doctors' offices. So that will help them with the market share. Now, one of the reasons that Lilly is probably not, I would have thought that this would be up 5% on that news yesterday. One of the reasons is that Novo is going to have some data at the end of this year. They said by the end of the year. Maybe it sneaks into next year, but everyone's expecting it for this year on a combo drug. So their existing drug plus another weight loss drug combined, and the weight loss should be larger than any other drug that's kind of approved at this point. And so that data is going to come out. That should be a negative for Lilly. I think that's really well expected. The head of development of R&D for Novo came out a week or so ago and said, look, 25% weight loss is what we have to do. We hope we're going to be there. If he says that and they don't make that, that would be really ridiculous. That would be so I think that they can kind of extrapolate the data they already have, even though it's blinded. There are ways, and who knows. I think that they're going to do it, but so that's why it makes Lilly kind of a weird trade right now. I actually think the positive of the actual data being out from a competitive standpoint is better than phase 3 data for a drug that's not going to be in the market for another couple of years. So, but that might be wrong too. So maybe they're both longs in a weird way. But I'm not there yet on Novo. I think they really need to crush this data. Everyone's expecting it. So with that being the expectations, I don't want to play into that. So that's where I am on those two. Now, I've got a lot of questions lately on Viking, VKTX, and because they're working in the obesity area, they're kind of a latecomer. Some people are like, oh no, they're going to be once a month dosing. They're going to be this. I will say that based on what I can see, their holders are sort of, Ben was talking about meme stocks. They're kind of meme-ish, if that's an adjective. They promote the idea that Viking has to get acquired, that someone needs to buy them. They're going to be, and I've made this case before that if you buy them at a current market value of $6 billion, you're going to pay 10 to get the company, maybe 9, whatever, make your case of whatever it is. But you still have to pay another $5 billion plus to build out manufacturing capacity. Yes. And so maybe it's 3 billion. So it's an expensive deal, and only so many companies can do that. So I'm not a believer. I'm not short. I used to be short Viking. If it pops up again, I will definitely be there again. I think that with the pricing environment for GLP-1s being a race to the bottom, that Vikings coming late to the party for a GLP-1 is just not a great idea, especially if people are going to have combo drugs. So I'm not there. I do want to talk about a couple others. I know I'm boring everyone already, but
No,
generics.
fascinated always with you. Never boring.
Genericsville. So
Okay.
everyone hates generics. The whole healthcare environment just is like, they're boring. They used to be great. They were doing roll-ups and they were pyramiding their earnings, and it was great. Then they put on so much debt. Then they collapsed. Teva, Viatris, which should be called Mylan, and all the others kind of fell apart. Pricing at the same time fell apart. So earlier this year, maybe a year and a half ago, I looked at Teva and I said, you know what? They're going to earn $1 something for 2025. 10 times earnings is a good for a single-digit grower and maybe double-digit earnings grower. I'll pay 10 times. And the stock did really well for a little while. Last week, the last 2 weeks, it's just been just a steady drip. And we talked about it last week on the show that it looked like someone was selling. The last couple days, the stock's been up a lot. And so that's what happens when a large institution decides to get out, in my experience. You have this slow decline over a long period of time, and then the trade stops. Either they decide to stop, like, hey, listen, the price is too low, and that's always a risk, right? It pops back up and you get more supply, or they've just finished. And that's what I think has happened here. We've had 3 very strong days with Teva. So let's see if it can hold it. I'm still there. You've discouraged that I've given up half of my return for the year on this stock, but I like that. I also own Viatris, which is kind of the same story, slow growth. I don't think it's as good of a story as Teva, so I own 3 times the amount of Teva that I do Viatris, but both have been doing okay lately. Viatris is a little bit better than Teva.
All right, now, thank you.
One last thing.
What else?
One other news item happened. NovaCure, company that I don't own, NVCR. I wish I did. If you look at that chart, that would have been a good one to own, and we have a lot of those, right? I should have, but they had data on a pancreatic cancer drug, and it improved overall survival. Improved overall survival by about 13%, and that's great. That's an approvable drug for pancreatic cancer, and pancreatic cancer rates in China are really high. Zai Labs, a company I do own, ZLAB, they have the rights for that product in China. NovaCure was up, I don't know, I'd have to look, 25% or more that day that the data came out earlier this week. And Zai Labs is only up like 5%. It shouldn't be. I mean, it should be up more than that, in my opinion. This is a great multi-year story. It's essentially de-risking. They have lots of partnerships, and they're bringing products into China that are here in the U.S., and the other partners usually pay for the development, and they pay them a royalty in return when they get approval in China. So I really like that story. I don't think it's up as much as it should have been this week. As for the catalyst for the rest of the year, other than the Novo, this is actually a really quiet time. And if you look at the biotech index, this last week has not done well. In fact, the last month hasn't done well. And we had this little reprieve where everybody was excited about the FDA, new head of the FDA. And it looked like, okay, we're going to turn the corner. It certainly hasn't happened. And, I took exposure down 2 weeks ago. For a week, I was like, oh, that wasn't so smart. But I still think it's the right thing to do. Not a lot of catalysts for the rest of the year. Not a lot of good news. Let's finish the year with dry powder. So that's where I am.
Okay. Well, it's interesting. ASR came out this morning. They were underweight healthcare, but they're talking about it being maybe oversold here. So potentially bottoming out.
Yeah, it feels like that. But again, I'm someone, and everyone invests differently. I'm someone that will buy something that's on the way up, that shows some signs of improvement already. Other people are like, hey, I'm gonna bottom ticket. I rarely do that, but I think that lowering the risk for further downside is more important to me than trying to catch every point on the upside.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you. Now,
And nothing about
Charlie.
HIMS.
Nothing. Oh, wait, you're going to go HIMS or no?
No. I'm only teasing
Okay.
our other collaborator, Russell.
Loves to talk about it. Loves it. Charlie, what happened to your glasses? I'm missing your glasses.
I can't find them because I don't have my glasses on, so I can't find them.
The irony.
Yeah. I'm going to talk Powell, Bitcoin, and gold this morning. So as you've probably read in the papers, Bitcoin is over 100,000 this morning. And part of the reason is because Powell apparently endorsed it as digital gold yesterday at a conference with Andrew Ross Sorkin when he was asked, is cryptocurrency a replacement or a threat to the US dollar? And Powell argued that it was not, that it was more of a speculative asset akin to gold. I was a little bit horrified that he endorsed cryptocurrency as digital gold, and only because I thought, is this an indication that he's, selling out to the Trump administration's biases for cryptocurrencies? And secondly, I was a bit horrified that he actually said that cryptocurrency is more like gold than the dollar because it doesn't have a store of value and it's not a medium of exchange. Whereas personally, I think gold does have a store of value, and time has proven that to be correct. And it is a medium of exchange in many places like in Asia. So I don't think cryptocurrency carries those characteristics. But the important point here is this actually is not a new position for Powell. If you go back to March of 21, he made the exact same statements at a BIS conference on cryptocurrencies. So in that sense, I'm relieved that this was not something that represented a sellout to the Trump endorsement of cryptocurrencies. And the important point there was that the cryptocurrency back in March of 21 was trading around, Bitcoin was trading around 58,000. It rallied for about a week on those Powell comments, where he endorsed cryptocurrency as a digital gold, and then it proceeded to collapse into the July of 21 and bottomed around 31,000. So it's a fairly steep drop after a week of trading up. Gold, on the other hand, when he made those comments, if you use GLD, was trading around 161 in March of 21 and proceeded over the summer of 21 to trade up to 175. So Powell was not very prescient in calling for Bitcoin. And I think we're in the same situation right now. I think if I was to put on a trade, it would be to fade any rally this week in Bitcoin and to buy gold on any dip. And I think there's a catalyst coming up in the FOMC meeting, where I do think there's a very good chance. I talked a bit about this on Tuesday, that the Fed will continue to cut rates 25 basis points. And so, with inflation sticky around 2.5, headed toward 3%, and rates coming down from 4.5 to maybe 4% on the Fed funds rate, I think you're going to see a shrinkage in real rates, and I think that will be very positive for gold. So I'm expecting some kind of Santa Claus rally into the new year in gold. And I'm playing it by buying, there are two ways of doing it. You can buy, what I would call the quality momentum, where the charts look really good. Agnico Eagle, AEM, or Ashanti Gold, AU are the two ways I'm playing it. Or you can go after the laggards, Barrick Gold, GOLD, or Newmont, NEM. But I think gold is the play into these Powell comments.
Okay. Yeah, it's interesting because on Longbow, it was showing, I think, they were showing up on some buy lists in terms of obviously being down. So you'd be a buyer here.
Absolutely. And I think you've got a really good trade going into September of next year in gold.
Okay. All right. There you go. Anything else, Charlie, on financials? Anything there? I mean, they've been ripping.
Yeah, I mean, financials are holding up relatively well. I pointed out that the KRE is probably its most overbought position in a decade. And it got back to its old-time high. So I think some backing and filling is certainly appropriate here. But I expect another push higher in some of these regional banks into the new year.
Okay.
What about the major banks? We had like this week was actually pretty bad for Wells Fargo and Bank of America, relative, both absolute and relative.
Yeah, I published actually Sunday night a piece and said of the three that I would not pursue, Bank of America and Wells Fargo were two on that list. So my preferred names were Citigroup is number one, has been all year, Citizens Financial is CFG, and Truist TFC. Those are the ones that I still think have some relative value. But Wells and B of A I wouldn't chase here.
Okay, but that's just kind of the decline this week was mostly,
I think it was
preferences among banks. It wasn't something that macro that people should be aware of.
No, I don't. I'm not aware of it. We've got a banking conference starting December 10th where we're going to get some mid-quarter updates. I expect the updates to be fairly positive. And the question is, which sector you want to play? Do you want to play money centers? Do you want to play capital markets, or do you want to play regionals? And if you're thinking of lower rates, the regionals are the play there. If you're thinking of M&A and IPO activity, Morgan Stanley, Goldman Sachs are the play there. If you're thinking, deregulation, the big play there is the money centers. But somebody like Wells Fargo has been bid up very aggressively on the idea that deregulation is going to lead to the ending of their asset cap. And so I think it's pretty fully valued here at $75.
There you go.
And remember what the most important line is: never short engineers and never long politicians. So if all that deregulation is priced in, it's not a great place to be hoping for it, I guess.
And it is priced in, and the risk here with a lot of these banks, they are one of the biggest beneficiaries of a tax cut. If we go from corporate tax rate from 21% to 15%, the banks are a big beneficiary because they pay a full tax rate of 20 to 26%. So their earnings could go up by 8% on a tax cut. But when Bessent was announced as the new Treasury Secretary, he gave an interview afterwards. And he certainly said, I'm going to endorse the Trump tax policies. And he highlighted, extending the 2017 tax cuts. He highlighted, no taxes on tips, no taxes on Social Security. But he did not highlight the corporate tax cut from 21 to 15%. He left that off. And I thought that was very interesting. And I'm getting a lot of questions from clients as to the likelihood of that going through, given the narrowness in Congress right now. So if we don't get that corporate tax cut, I think there's a setback in some of these bank stocks because they've been bid up on that expectation. And we're probably not going to know until we get well into the first 100 days of the Trump presidency, because it does require an act of Congress to get passed.
Speaking of acts of Congress, one of the things in healthcare this week, I stepped onto a beehive. I criticized Scott Gottlieb, about his role and kind of how he's been acting as a proxy for Pfizer, and the comments defending him were pretty strong. There's I don't know people who don't follow healthcare, but there are two sides of people either love him or hate him. I actually am really middle of the road. I gave some criticism, and a couple different journalists and others were like, "Hey, why are you saying these things?" But he's
what do you
come
think's
out
going
this
on?
week.
Why?
Well, he's come out what's going on and what happened? So this week he came out against RFK for the head of HHS, and he said what I think are some crazy things, like people are going to die because of this. And my point is, like, we don't know really what can get done, and lots of HHS heads promise a lot of stuff, and then it doesn't get done. And he's labeled anti-vax, so people think, oh, he's going to come in and just say childhood vaccines are now optional, or things like that. And I don't think any of that's going to happen. What's happening behind the scenes is, look, he is a sharp guy. He was only at the FDA for a year and a half. as the head of the FDA. He's been at Pfizer on the board of directors for a lot longer. He is sharp. He is articulate. He has the look for TV. So everyone uses him as a source, and people don't want to, poop on their sources. Like, it's just not if you want to have the head of Google on your webcast, guess what? Don't
Right,
write
that'd be nice.
things about Google. So so I think there's a little bit of that happening. I also think that as we've learned in the last couple of years, media loves drama, and the idea that RFK won't be nominated or won't be approved, and fueling that, there's money in that. There's like viewership on that. But that was definitely one of the hot news items of the week. It was be careful with that. But I had a question for Ben though on the Bitcoin, and for Charlie. MicroStrategy. What do you make of the move today where the stock was up, I don't know, what was it, 440, something like that, 440 in the first couple minutes of the day, and now it's 410, so it's had a 10% swing in the day, pre-market to now. Is this the beginning of the end? Is it, this is just normal for this?
Two words, David, in the immortal words of Ben Bray: Ponzi scheme.
I saw that our former colleague Herb Greenberg was out there pitching MicroStrategy this week on TV.
I think David's hitting. He's throwing such a soft pitch to you guys. He was
I just don't like it's obviously we can say a lot of things. We're not saying that it is a Ponzi scheme. What you're saying is it makes you think that it's a Ponzi scheme.
So something that looks like a Ponzi and smells like a Ponzi, but we're not saying it's a Ponzi. That kind of situation.
Thank you for that clarification.
Yeah.
No, look. On the MicroStrategy, Nadine and I shorted this at like 490 2 weeks ago. We almost top ticked it and caught a little trade on that. It's all about the vol. The vol premiums come in some. Bitcoin's kind of appreciating, and people are like, well, it should go up in kind with Bitcoin. But when you trade at 3.3 to 4 times book, it's akin to a high multiple stock having to like grow into its earnings. Like you can grow earnings, and look at Nvidia for the last, I don't know, like 5 months. Like Nvidia has been stuck in the mud in the 130, 140, and they clearly are growing earnings. So, like if Bitcoin keeps rising, then MicroStrategy's like valuation makes more sense. It could that NAV, price to NAV can collapse some, and you can sit on a little bit, I don't want to say stable ground, but like more realistic, right? So I think that and again, I've always been a proponent of owning Bitcoin for a very long time. But like I've never been a proponent of owning MicroStrategy, and
you're
maybe
saying
I should
own
have.
the underlying. You're saying own the underlying here.
Well, you own the so I'll just finish this. You own the underlying because Bitcoin, if you believe in Bitcoin, well, it's interesting to use Bitcoin as collateral, the same way you'd use treasuries as collateral, and then you could do other things. You can go trade some Doge or something on an offshore exchange, and you use it as collateral. You don't have to use your thing.
Is that your recommendation?
No. My point is that it's yours. You don't pay an actual cost of carry management fee. Like I'm a huge non-believer in the Bitcoin ETF. I think it's ridiculous. Like I understand why you have an ETF for gold, because not everyone wants to own a bar of gold. You know what I mean? Like, the gold can get stolen. Whereas Bitcoin's already digital. So like I view this whole thing as a Wall Street fee grab, and everybody who like believed in the alternative system of crypto. Well, let me tell you something. The unique visitors to using the Bitcoin network are down 25% year over year. They're down 35% since the 21, and they're flat for the last 6 years. So there's not like a secular unique visitors using Bitcoin as a payment system. This is just a bunch of people who are along and just like, I love the number, go up. Let's just call it for what it is. And I'm happy for people. I like that people make money. It's great. But let's just be honest of what's going on here.
All right. Well, listen, Charlie had to leave. He's got a meeting to go to. So we're going to wrap it up with that wonderful discussion of Bitcoin and MicroStrategy and Doge and every other coin you can kind of think of here versus gold. So it's been a fun time, Ben, David, and Charlie. Again, December 5th, 2024. Have a wonderful day. We'll see you tomorrow.